All is well. I was trying to on Streams Live.
All right. We on. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Julia Royston of BK Royston Publishing, Royal Media and Publishing, and the Book Business Boss Consulting, helping you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth, and be a book business boss. I am super excited. You see, I got my yellow just in case y'all fall asleep. Y'all gonna wake up when you see my dress. Yay! I'm doing the sunshine, even though it's in the evening, but I'm super excited about having this conversation because I see so many issues and problems with authors and business owners who've written books. And we were talking about it even before we went on air or press live. And, people just want to upload a book to KDP, and they want to upload a book to Ingram Spark, and they want to upload a book to Barnes and Noble Press if you're still doing that, and upload a book. Some people are using Lulu, however you're using Draft to Digital, all of them. They're using them all, but they want to have the platform do all the promotion, and they want to sit back and just watch the royalty dollars mount up. Well, I'm sorry, love. In February 2025, it'll be 17 years in this game. Maybe it happens for other people. I'm not going to deny that. But for me, it's been the slow, steady road. One thing at a time, one place at a time, one book at a time, 10 books at a time, 100 books, whatever. But it's been one event at a time. But let's have that conversation. So I want these great friends of mine to introduce themselves, tell us where they're from, tell us where we can find them on social media. I'm going to put their websites up as we go along so you'll know where to find their websites and follow them. I have no problem with sharing on this platform. This is what I do. I love being with people who know what they're talking about. My father said you can always tell how high you're going to go by the people you hang out with, and always whoever you hang out with, make sure that they're the best at what they do. So that's the reason why I collected this group. I'm super excited. Yay! To have these ladies. Let's start. Let's go west and then we'll go south. LaShonda, you go first.
Of course. Good evening. My name is LaShonda Hoffman, and I am a book promotion strategist. Been doing this thing 20 plus years. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, the Gateway State. I'm currently working on my first science fiction book. It's called Love in Space. It's on the Kindle platform, so that's a whole different promotion ball game. But I love talking about promotion. Me and Julia talk about promotion. I learned so much from Julia, and hopefully she learns from me. But I'm excited to be here.
Social media.
LaShonda Hoffman on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube. I got a channel on YouTube, so check me out anywhere to look me up with LaShonda Hoffman.
LaShonda Hoffman. All right, let's go down 65. Dr. Nettles.
Hello, good evening. It is a pleasure to be here with the heavy hitters.
Please.
I am Vernette Clemens Nettles. I am in Montgomery, Alabama, born and raised in Mobile. My website is www.vernettcnettles.com, which you see there. And on Facebook, it's Vernette Clemens Nettles. I have officially been a published author for 5.5 years, and that is so exciting for me because as a result of those 5 years, I have just recently published 2 business books, Petals of Success, and they are first an homage to my parents who've always been entrepreneurs. But in those 5 years, I was able to, initially when I started out, I would ask people for help and they would go, and you would wonder, why wouldn't someone help you? And now that was never the case when I met Julia in 2019. She has always been just a wealth of, what you need, baby? Let me help you, honey. Help. And this is the way this works. She is always generous with the support and the mentoring. But as a result of my time with Julia and just trying to find information, I was able to put all of that information together into those 2 books. One is about business and business strategies, and the other is about authorship and author strategies. So I am excited to be amongst the knowledgeable.
Let's go to NOLA. Let's go to New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Come on, New Orleans. Let's do it.
I am Michelle Jackson. I am the founder of the Black Writers Workspace, which is an online community of about 17,000 authors, writers, and readers that I started on Facebook. I am also the CEO of PR Solutions, which is an award-winning strategic marketing and public relations company here in New Orleans. I am the CEO also of direct2author.com, which is an online platform that helps to promote independent books. So you can upload your book for free. And we promote you, and we also offer marketing, book marketing services. So I'm a 3 times published author, first book published in 2010. Did not know anything about book publishing. Wrote the book, loved it. Then I said, I want to publish it. And I started asking questions. And as you can imagine, 2010, I got a million nothings. Okay. I got go here, go there, turn around, jump on your hand, twist around. I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Do the hokey pokey.
Right. And do the hokey pokey. So I ended up going with a vanity publisher and got in there and paid all that money and got the book published and was so excited to have it in my hand. And then I started getting a million phone calls. Buy this, do this. It became this big hustle. And that's when I realized that there's just not enough good information out there. And so when 2020 happened, my second book was coming out. It took me 10 years to get that second one out. And then we found ourselves stuck at home because of COVID. I decided to start the Black Writers Workspace so that we could have a space that we could talk about how to effectively, successfully publish books and promote books. 10 friends turned into 17,000. And it's been a great experience. I also host the Black Ink Book Festival in New Orleans. I have the Pen Posse podcast roundtable that we do. And so, you know, I teach at Tulane. I have a nonprofit, I work with youth entrepreneurs. So lots of things, but nothing as exciting as this. And I love Julia because she's always a part of the Pen Posse. And she gets on there and she tells it how it is. She told me she was selling a book at a funeral one time. I'm just telling y'all, that's what she told me on the Pen Posse.
I did. Like,
you're serious about book sales. But yeah, she's great. And I just appreciate you having me on. So
wonderful child. Yeah. That's the reason why people laugh at people with books in their car. I was like, okay, well, I'll go ahead and get that cash and you stand on over there and I'll sell as many books as I can out the back of my car. And when I come out of the restaurant and y'all do that. So as y'all well know, if you follow me on social media, which you can find me, Julia A. Royston, just put that in anywhere and you can find me. But I am a woman who is about the country. I have always had, you know, focus that, okay, if I ever get out of this classroom with these little children, baby, I'm going to be on the road doing my thing. But one of the biggest, I'm going to start off with one of the biggest mistakes that I had. I mean, I had momentum. I had a following because I sang. So because I sang so much in big churches, little churches, storefront, house churches, it didn't matter. I sang. I always had an audience. But when I switched to the book space, I carried that same music audience into the book space. But I wish I had known so many things I wish I had known about building an audience before you launch. Because I think that's one of the first things that authors do. They put it out there and everybody says, yay! And not too many people hit the buy button. But, you know, they put it out there and they expect, you know, people to buy it. And they said they're going to buy it. And wait a minute. I got to sue Amazon because I know my cousin them said they was going to buy it. And they owe me money because So before we even start, even before the book is launched, because we independents primarily and self-published authors don't really have the time limit restraints as traditionally published. So let's just set that straight up front, because most of traditionally published, the publishing company determines when the book is launched. If you're self-published or independently published, you set it. I mean, even clients of mine we kind of set the when you want it to be ready, when you want it to be done, where you want to launch together, as opposed to me saying, no, you can't launch that till 2026 or 2027. We don't have that. So what are two things that you all would tell somebody who's getting ready to launch their book for the first time? It's come back from the editor. They're either doing rewrites or they're reviewing it, making changes. What are one or two things that you would tell them even before getting ready to launch this book? What are a couple of things that they should really have in place even before they announce this is the cover? You might have announced the cover, but even before that, what are a couple of things that they should really have done first?
We're going in the same order.
No, it don't matter. You can go ahead and start with some.
Okay, well, for me, one of the things I learned when I started working with people is that they don't have the book promotion infrastructure together. They're not ready to promote. They got the book and that's all they got. And so I had 10 things that I tell them to get ready. So they need their website. They need to get their social media platform set up. They need to start working on that email list. They need to have a good book cover and blurb. I see people have some hot messes calling themselves, putting their book up there. We just talked about that. You need to know who your readers are. You need to know that before you start promoting to stuff. You need to be making that book promotion plan, so getting that plan together. You need to be making your content marketing stuff that you're going to be putting out there. You need to go find the promotion site so you can get help with your promotion. You need to go find the people who do interviews so you can get help with that promotion again. And then you need to know what these events that you're going to be going to. If you're going to go to events, or you're going to do online events. So those are 10 things that you need to be working on while you're getting this book ready. And it's going to take time. You know, you're not going to do it all in one day. It's going to take time to build that website. It's going to take time to build your social media platform. Just don't sit there waiting for the book to release. And then when the book releases, you have nowhere to send them. You have nothing to show them. You're not even ready for an interview. Are you ready for the interview? Do you have your pictures ready? Do you have links? People have books and don't even have links. You know, so you got to get all that stuff together, making your little promotion house ready. So when your book releases, you're ready to go. When people come to you, you got that marketing plan. You got your press release. You're ready to go. Versus, I got my book and it's on Amazon. So that's
okay. So first off, what's your link for schedule a conversation for book promotion strategy? Because I don't know nobody with all of them 10 things.
They don't even have the first one, the author website, because people tell them now, oh, you don't need website, you just need social media. And
okay, so hold on. Go to LaShondaHoffman.com so you can get them 10 things and download them 10 things. Okay, now I'm gonna go to somebody. Let's talk about the regular average person. I'm talking about first time out. They not thinking, they don't want a website. They don't even want. I've had people say, social media. I don't really do that. I don't even really, I'm not really there. I'm not there. So okay. So first, if you ready to take it to the Rolls Royce level, contact LaShonda Hoffman. If you starting at the beginning, you introvert, you don't even like social media that deep, you don't want no website, you don't, what are two things that you really need to have? Because that's the Rolls Royce. But let's go down to the Honda. Let's start at the Honda level.
Okay, Honda version. I love that.
Go to the Honda version.
I'm so ready, LaShonda, for them to get to where you are, because that is so important. But I tell you, the very first thing I would say is, first of all, go into this understanding that there are two components here. You have to be the creative to write the book, and then you have to take off the creative hat, and you have to become an entrepreneur. And that is a different thing. That's when you begin to think about sales and pictures and design and websites and all those different things. But you have to make that transition. A lot of people want to write, but they don't want to sell books. And if you know you don't want to sell the book, then hire someone like Ms. Hoffman here, who's an expert at this, to do it, to help you with it. But you can't write the book and think that's all it takes. I grew up in a house full of creatives. My brothers are artists. You can see their work on the wall here. And I remember that passion they have for just the work, the creative. Oh, I just want to do it. But when it came time to sell the art, it became a different story. And so we have to, make sure that as a writer, that you are, especially if you're independent, that you're going to have to sell this book. So you got to get that in your head. I've got to sell this book. Secondly, you need to make sure you understand who your target audience is and start thinking about that early, because that's going to define the direction you go in with your brand, with how you package that book, with your book cover. Who is your audience? And so really start to think about that. And then the part I think that's a little scary is when people say, I don't have a lot of money, and so how am I going to promote the book? Start thinking about setting aside some money for marketing. Start thinking about that early. And also I always tell people to, set aside $1 for every book you want sold. Okay. And use that for marketing. That's very foundational. I want to sell 500 books. That's $500. Now, that's not a lot of money to do a lot of marketing with, but it's a start, because some people go out and they don't want to spend $1. They don't want to spend anything. It's like, I'm going to put it on Amazon and I'm going to tell a few people. And we all know, and we can have this conversation, that once you sell to your friends and family, that first 50, that's it. They're not buying 3 and 4 books. So once you sell that first 50 or 60 or 100 books to friends and family, now you've got to sell it to people outside of your friends and family. Mm-hmm. You got to market. And a lot of people sell 150 books and go, oh, I sold 150 books the first, month. And you're like, okay, that was grandma, that was uncle, that was, people down the street. Now, can you get beyond that point? Mm-hmm. And that becomes the challenge. So all the things that has already been mentioned, those 10 things are key, but you've got to foundationally get your mind set around the fact that you will have to market this book. So if you got to take it and put it in the back of your car and sell it at the gas station, the grocery store, the funeral home, wherever you got to go, you're going to have to do that, because you don't have that big marketing budget behind you if you're an independent author. And, and you're not going to just, I see people who release a book and sell it for 3 months and they're done.
What is that? What is that? What is that? They forgot that the book is evergreen. Like, have you ever seen the Bible lately? How old is the Bible? I don't care how many versions it is. You realize how old the Bible is? How long it's been out? Oh my gosh, it's old. It's just real old. But it ain't gone out of style yet, and we still reading it. Wasn't even on our phones, but 3 months, and they like, peace.
I'm done with that. I don't want that. That's too hard. I don't. And it's like, you put all that energy and effort into that book, and then you don't want to sell it. So you really have to change your mindset, or hire people that's going to help you, and set aside some money, because it's just not going to be free. It's not going to be free. And I know everybody, I can post on social media. Social media is great, but it's a tool in the toolbox. It's not.
Yeah, it's not that end all be all.
Yeah, it's not.
But let's go back a little further than this. Depending on the content of your book, it's not that you don't want to sell the book, is you don't want to talk about what's in the book. So, my friend said, we're going to give you a book signing. And I was very excited. And she said, now talk about your book. And I said, what now? Because it was a book. I had it on the table. I had to go back through my book, because once you write it, you send it to the editor, you start thinking about what you want to do in terms of selling it. You hadn't forgotten the content, but you have to be more familiar with the content so you can talk about it. Especially, so my first book was a devotional, and it was a 30-day devotional, 30 little snippets of my life. All of them I didn't want to relive. But you have to be able to talk about what you are selling in order to sell it. And that's so key. I love my book. That's what they'll tell you. I love my book, but I have to go talk about my book. I have to go sell it and convince people. You have to have ownership of your content, of your experience. That makes all the difference in the world, whether or not you have ownership of your experience, because readers connect to not just the content, but the person who wrote the content. And if they feel your experience, they're more likely to read the book or buy it, so it's really important that you can speak about it. And then that folds into the pitch, that folds into what's on the flyer, that folds into the interview, that folds into all of the pieces. But you want to be able to talk about the book. And it's so very important that when you're writing your book, you need to know when you're writing it that you're going to have to talk about it.
Even if you have a ghostwriter, you're still going to have to talk
Oh
about
my
it.
goodness.
So the other thing too, in addition to what Dr. Nettles said, is that I'm asking, after 16 years in this, what do you do in your life? I'm trying to connect the dots, do the pieces to put it together, to find out what in this book in your life it's connected to. Not just a memoir, but okay, here's a book about my life. All right. Now, what a part of that are you already connected to? Do you do ministry at your church? Do you do outreach somewhere? Do you want to be a life coach? So the book really needs to have a message that you're passionate about. Because I think about the first book I ever wrote. Here, I dug it out. I was bold enough to put my face on the first one because, I'm an artist. It had music with it. It had a DVD with it too. But I still have to be passionate about the message that's in that book, like I am the one I just uploaded today, which was 101. So, so each one, there's a message in there that I'm connected to. There's a message in there that I want to relate to. So now 16 years later, even before the website, even before putting on the entrepreneur hat, I've got to make sure that my reasoning for writing this book is connected to a message that I'm not only passionate about, but I'm actively doing, so that it's a part of my lifestyle rather than I wrote this book because, that girl over there across the church, she wrote one. And so I think I could do that too, girl. Yeah. When you get that book and after you make that investment and you realize, okay, what? I've got to talk about it. What?
Yeah.
It's not like I got a pair of red bottoms and you do too, and we're going to compare it. This is not kindergarten. This is not the sandbox. This is real life. This is your intellectual property. Are you passionate about it to turn it into not only a message, but a movement? Are you passionate enough about this that it's going to impact somebody else's life to be transformational? Or is it instructional? Is it transferring? I mean, people have bought some of my books and started their own publishing companies. They have bought some of my books and said, oh my gosh, I could do this now and I can do that. You've got to understand, even before that this marketing, this promotion, this message movement is sometimes bigger than you. It is larger than you. Now, most people who hear that be like, okay, Julia's over the top. She's been doing this a long time. This is her thing. But I've seen it done. I've seen it transform and change people's lives after one book. Not just the celebrity, not just the big ministry celebrity people, but everyday people that it took on a life of its own because it was transformational. Then we go back to LaShonda and realize they read the book. They're asking for more. Now you need to make sure your infrastructure is ready. You need to do that before. But if you don't have somebody to guide you, and Michelle or LaShonda or even Vernette and myself to tell you, wait a minute, hold on. Before you launch that, you need to make sure you at least have a landing page. Do you have a BioLink site? Because even if you're not willing to get a website, you can at least have a BioLink site that heads directly here or to a landing page so you can collect emails. Because wait a minute, you got something on your hands here. You know how sometimes they got a gold or something that's valuable, but people have it and they don't even realize how valuable it is. So before you release that into the atmosphere, hold on. Let's make sure that we have a lead back to you. Even if you don't have a full 5-7 glossy photo shoot website, you got somewhere to go because you got something in here that takes it to the next level. Like the whole thing of people who release products like the Oprah effect and all that. Because some people have books that do that and they're like, well, they wanted me to come to be on a TV and they want me to interview here. And yeah, love, what did you think was going to happen? So that makes sense.
It does. And let me add this for those people who keep hearing you say website and they're freaking out. A lot of websites have an introductory tier of free.
Mhm.
So you can start a very basic website that allows people to find you, and it's not going to cost you anything right away. This promotion that we're talking about is about building, and it's about building over time. You won't have all of the 10 things Dr. Hoffman just talked about as you're starting out, but one or two of them. Start with that first tier of the website, that first tier of the email listserv, and then move further and further ahead. But you're right, a landing page, get you a small site, free site, and keep moving.
Yeah, we got to start where we start.
Start.
But we cannot go into it. We can't go into it thinking. I mean, it just all depends. Some people just, I had an author do that one time. Oh, I just did it because I just wanted to see if I could. They were not serious about it at all. So that's just, I don't know. I tried to convince them, tried to work with them, but okay. So what happens there? So even before we get into some more tools and ideas, because I'm ready to move there, what do you do when somebody says, "Oh, I just wanted to write it just to see what it would do"?
You know,
Tell them you can't help them, or what do we do? What do we do then?
I think it's all about
Go ahead.
well, I was going before we move to that, the mindset. You have to have the right mindset when you're coming into this business. And it's hard because most of us just want to write books. And that's all we think about is that we want to write books. And so when you're talking to people who that's my first question of what is their mindset when I'm talking to them? Are they in the author mindset where they're just going to write this book? Are they in the selling mindset? Because you got to move to those different hats that you're putting on. Are you in the business mindset? Because this is a business. And a lot of times the people, when they come to me, they're in the dungeon. Their mindset is in the dungeon because they're not selling any books. They thought all their friends were gonna buy, they sold 3 books and they've been doing this for 6 months and nothing is happening. And so I have to help them build their mindset back up because why did you do this? There's a reason. Now, if you come here and you say, "Oh, I just wanted to see if I could do it," we're gonna have a hard time. Yeah. we gotta get over that hump of what's the next step. And every book is a movement, and you might not think it is, but every book is a movement because you're going to go down different paths. You're going to go down the author path. You're going to go down a business path. You're even going to go. I moved to coaching. That wasn't even on my agenda. I wasn't supposed to be no coach. I moved to a strategist. That wasn't on my agenda when I put the book out. I just put a book out. I thought, okay, I'm gonna help some of these authors, and I'm gonna move on. No, because they need you to hold their hand. Yeah. And so you got to know what is it that my first question is, what is it that you want from your book? Do you want to sell? You said, I love that. I mean, I'm still that one. $1 for each book you want to sell. I had somebody.
I like that. I never saw this out of that.
I love it.
We got, yeah. I like that. I like that.
Most people, this is what they say. Oh, I want to sell 5,000 books. Okay, so that's gonna be my question. You put $5,000 aside. Yeah.
Michelle has taught us a great lesson tonight. $5,000. That's
what they said when they come to me. They know they gotta pay me, but they come to me and they say, "Well, I don't have any money." Well, okay. Well, I can't feed my family and the little dog and the grandchildren off of no money. So I'm gonna give you your little tips and then you move on. And I'm okay with that. They not okay with it. But if you go to somebody for services, you gotta have some funds, and $10 is not gonna help. So that $1 per book, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, we gotta keep that. It's good. What were you gonna say, Michelle? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just think that the mindset is one thing. Definitely, we need to work on is that shift in how we perceive the work. But I love what you were talking about by connecting to the book itself. Now, you have to build a personal brand too. I mean, social media has just changed the game for how we sell everything because we're now brand ambassadors every time we, go live or post. Everything we do is connecting to some idea, some brand. For instance, these red glasses. Every time you see me, I'm talking about Black Writers Workspace. I have on my red glasses because this is what I always wore when I started. That they're probably broken now. I probably have to put tape on them at some point because they're that old. But this is part of my brand. And so when you're trying to work with people and they don't understand that you can't write the book and go hide. You build on it, because some of us are not making money, and I know this may not be the conversation tonight, but a lot of us aren't making as much money off book sales as we are off of all the other ancillary things that come from it. Writing, speaking engagements. And man, I get people call me and say, do a video for me, just talking about how to write a book. They'll pay thousands of dollars for the video. I may not sell thousands of dollars worth of books, in the last couple of months, but I'm making money off of other things. Write this article, do this. There's so much you can do, but you have to build that brand. And it starts with all the things that we talked about. But first and foremost, I love the idea of the passion behind the writing. You have to understand it. I always tell people this when, what is your pitch for your book? When someone asks you, as Dr. Nettles said, someone said, tell me about your book. I remember the first time someone asked me to tell me about my first book, and I went into this long dissertation. I'm trying to explain every character because I'm so connected. I'm so close to it. I don't know how to wrap it up in 2 sentences. And I felt so crazy because I'm going, well, see, and I'm so passionate about it. And my girlfriend read my book and she said, your book is about money can't buy you love. And I went and said, that's it.
Yeah.
You just connected everything in 1 sentence. So I always tell people, what is your 1 or 2 sentence pitch on your book? How do you sell? How do you talk about your book in 1 or 2 sentences? What are you connected with? Is it the modern day Romeo and Juliet story? Someone said to me the other day that his sci-fi book was what he said. He said Roots meets Gang of Thorn. I got that. So you have to learn how to tell these stories and connect them quickly, because these are our pitch. This is our pitch deck. We got to pitch these books and get them sold. So yeah, I love all the things that we're saying, but we've got to build that personal brand. And what you put out there, it's going to open doors for you if you use it well. Your website looks good. Your photos. Don't talk about. I get on a tangent about these photos. Every time I have a pen posse or something, I said, send me a picture.
Oh,
and I got people with their back to the camera.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh,
man,
man,
low res. So we've got to, that brand building process starts with cleaning up our act, making sure we're looking good everywhere we go, making sure we have those things that we can connect to the work, telling our stories, being authentic, and being able to relate it and using it. So it's going to open doors for us. And it's a beautiful thing.
Dr. Nettles, 2 things, and then I'm gonna, if you want to add something, then I've got 2 people in the comments that I want us to address.
Just this, all of what you all are saying, spot on, except you didn't tell me it was a business. I thought I was writing a book. And so so that's about mindset. When I finished my book, I was on to that second book, and I was walking around in Houston with Julia, and she said, this is a business. And I said, do I know? I had my license. I did all of the things that I knew I needed to do in order to report taxes, because I was selling things. But I'm selling things and you're now a business was a mind shift. And a lot of times we're selling our books, but we have not shifted into this is a business. And when you transition your mind into this is a business, you take a better picture.
Yeah.
You speak differently.
Yeah.
You function a little differently, because you are completely understanding that this is not just about running around the corner handing someone a book. This is about me and my legacy. That's business. And so you're right. Mindset is the thing, but it's a business. Yes.
It's a business. That's the reason why the Book Business Boss Consulting exists. That's why it's out there, because it went from, oh my gosh, you're gonna want me to publish your book, to okay, what's next, Julia? I want you to what do you mean what's next? Your book is published, it's available on Amazon, bye. And then they kept asking, because when people do business with you and they know and they like and now trust you, because when you pay money and you get what you're supposed to have, then now they have a trust level that they are asking you for more. So, okay, so there are 2 people. Thank you so much for everybody that has joined us. And I realize I'm going to repurpose this video. So my production team is like, no, you're not supposed to do that. But I want to address this right now because I know we're on live stream or whatever. But I've got 2 people in the comments from Facebook Miss Regina James, who says she's wrote a book about her life experience. Miss Regina, are you still on? If you are, comment and let me know whether it's published or not. And then Mr. Kevin Edwards says he has written 3 children's books, and they are all from his life experience.
Wow.
And so I want us to talk just a few minutes about writing books based on your life. And I have this talk about Amazon Author Central. We will in just a second. Thank you. That's another question. Okay, so writing books based on your life. Now, Mr. Kevin Edwards, I'd probably have to look up your children's book, but if depending on the images and the storyline, I just want to let you know, as far as the market is concerned, children's books, especially with African American main characters, move very well. If you find an audience who's interested in what you have, those of you who are out there who haven't done a children's book, we're riding this wave, as they say, we riding this train as long as it'll go, and the train is moving really good right now. So make sure it has high quality illustrations. It's a cute story. It makes sense. It has a wonderful cover, and because the kids are gonna buy the book, they're gonna get their people to buy it. You're selling a book. Yes, he's sold about 5,000 copies of his first book. Wonderful, because I know kids' books move. But Miss Regina James, you're writing a story about your life. No matter what has happened, we've all had ups and downs all around. A couple of things that that story about your life, and this is just something that I tell people all the time, and y'all can chime in on it as far as book promotion is concerned. Make sure that it is something that connects with everyone, that there is either a lesson learned or something that you want to share. A book about your life, memoir, no matter what happened great, what happened horrible, make sure that it's either helping someone get out of a situation or to avoid getting in. Is it raising red flags? Is it raising awareness? It needs to be something, not just telling your story, which you should do that, but it should also be helpful for the next person. Because what happens if you don't make a connection with either an organization or some kind of domestic violence awareness or something like that, then it'll just be airing your, it's like airing your life. But you got to make sure that you're making some type of connection. And this is for anyone. These are just my general advice tips. And then also, besides making connection to an organization or life lessons learned, then maybe you would say something about what you may do differently moving forward. Some things are out of your control. Your father passing away, I'm just generalizing, this is not your story, but your father passing away or the house burned down, those are things you have no control of. We had to move from the country, we had to move into projects, whatever that looks like. But those major turns, make sure you point those out, and then be ready to, if people come needing help, are you prepared to do that? Are you prepared to help with that next situation? I'm not saying you have to be a coach. I'm not saying you have to, start a business, but know that there will be people who will reach out for help, as far as who are either experiencing the same thing or was inspired or motivated by what you've written. Does that make sense? Okay. I hope that helps. Okay. So Mr. Kevin Edwards says he sold 5,000 copies of your first book. You want to tell us two ways you did it? How did you do it? And how long did it take you to do it?
Beautiful.
Okay. So were you a teacher there in your school district, or you just knew someone in your school district? So he says, my school district bought a copy for every third, fourth, and fifth grader. My book is in bookstores in Atlanta, Arizona, San Juan, Hawaii, London, Florida. Every trip I go on, I contact the public library and donate copies of the book.
Yep.
Now this is I want the public library to buy it. Let me just say, as someone who was a librarian for 30 years, I'm a retired librarian. I have 2 master's degrees in library science. Libraries have limited budgets, very limited budgets. It would be best for you to donate 2 copies to the main branch, would be more effective. Now, there are some places who will buy it depending on where you are. I'm not saying this is every time, but he travels and he donates copies of his books. This is the way he did it. Now, remember, I said it's a children's book, so that does make a difference. And a school district bought it, so that means he sold by the hundreds and the thousands. So that does make a difference. And then probably the European tour, the Big Wheel for Fear Defeat, that's behavioral management. The Big Win might be sports related. I haven't even looked at the European tour. That could be tied to social studies, a research. If you're wanting to sell something to schools, they need to either have an academic connection, right, Dr. Nettles, or it needs to have a behavioral management connection, right? Anything else I'm missing as far as that's concerned? Congratulations, Mr. Kevin Edwards.
Absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so he says, I also attend every festival as a vendor in Atlanta and other areas. Okay, we'll get on events in just a second. Ms. June Williams Newton, I'd have to have an appointment with you to even know anybody else wants to put their information in, talk with Royston, and let's have a conversation about that. And then
What was June's question?
June's question is, she's written my children's book, The Baby Heart Doctor. Kevin, wonderful. Help me, please. So any of us can offer advice. I wish I had time this evening to go through everyone's book and how that could help. But Dr. Hoffman, LaShonda Hoffman, Michelle Jackson, that's what we do. So reach out to us, schedule a conversation, talkwithroyston.com. We can have a conversation and see where we are. It doesn't take but a few minutes to figure that out. Okay. Ms. June Williams also asked about Amazon Author Central. Okay, so I have an Author Central page. Dr. Nettles talked about starting off, with whatever free resources are out there. That is one way to do it. But of course, you're driving traffic to Amazon.
Yeah.
Realize when you're going to Amazon Author Central. So that may be a place to start. Now, for me, I have all of my books are on Amazon. I do that, but I do not drive traffic there. I drive traffic to me, to my online stores, to my website, to me. So Dr. Nettles and I were at Mega, which is a conference in Alabama for all the educators and administrators in Alabama, state of Alabama. When they ask about buying in bulk, I said, come to me.
Come to me.
Because Dr. Nettles has her books. We can sell in bulk. We can also sell in discount. We can ship. We can do multiplicity of things. Some districts allow Amazon. Some districts don't. Some districts, and I'm quite sure Mr. Kevin Edwards, they made an arrangement. He's probably a vendor with the school system, and they bought them directly from him. That's always the best profit margin and the best way to actually do it. But if you need an online, just one place where they can go, at least start there, Amazon Author Central. I have it. That's where, yes. Okay, so he said, yeah, I'm a vendor with that district. Yeah. Because remember, we said we were a business. So we've got to be, thank you, Vanessa, for sharing it. So we're a business. This is business. So you gotta at times look at your life to make sure you're prepared for that business. If I'm not gonna really try to get into this tonight, but you've got to prepare your life. You have to prepare your family. You have to prepare your house. You have to prepare yourself. I have had authors who had an inventory of books. I'm just gonna tell this little story and go on. And then they sold their books, right? So they made the profit, but they ate up all the profit. And then now looking for either a grant or something so they can get new inventory. No, it's like any other business. You can't, it's like the farmer out in agriculture. He can't eat up all his seed. He's got to have so much seed for the coming time to sow again. So that's what you have to be thinking about and making sure that you're prepared for. That if you go to an event and you make $500, good. How much is it going to take to get the inventory replenished so that you can sell for the next festival? Okay. So you can't, if you can't put aside something from that or replenish your inventory, it's going to be hard in this business. It's going to be very, very difficult because you won't have any inventory to sell to make profit to get the next inventory, to get to the next festival, to get to the next place, because it's a business. Okay, let's switch gears. Make sense? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about events. Let's talk about events. Being because that's one thing beyond the book. We've talked about having the business mindset. So now we've decided this is what we love, this is what we want to do, this is what we want to be involved in. Yay, is this wonderful? Okay, now I might have a landing page. I might not have a full website yet, but I got a landing page. I have business cards. I have an email. I have a phone number. I'm active on social media. The active on social media doesn't necessarily mean you're going to sell every time on social media, but at least we'll get eyes on what you have to offer. And that's what I benefit for social media. But now it's time to go to our first event. What we gonna do? What we gonna have? There's an event in town. The vendor tables are $75. That's a low. That's a low. That's a low. That's a small event. Just to give y'all the heads up. Oh my God, it cost. Yeah, love. Because the vendors, let me give you the first hint. The vendors are normally paying for the venue. Or even if it's outside, they're paying for the permits to have the parking lot. That's what the vendors are paying for. More than anything else.
So Julian,
go ahead.
Yeah, I put on a book fair every year, and I've done the Black Ink Book Fair here in New Orleans. My second time, we did it in May. We had 90 authors come from all over the country, and we were doing them virtually during COVID. So we've done them two in person. And I think, these book fairs are so important. Now, I think it's important, especially if you're not overspending. And I want to stress that. Some people do book fairs every week and they're traveling all over the country and they're eating up every dime with that. So just be strategic. But also, as you said, there's going to be a fee for the table, a fee for the chairs, a fee to get in there and to promote. I do a lot of pre-event promotion. So when you're doing these book fairs, some of the tips I would say is, first, be prepared to promote yourself. Do not go into a book fair assuming that the promoter is going to guarantee people will come to your table and buy books.
That's number one. Yes,
that is something I stress that, because so many times when, they'll come, I have authors, they'll come, they have great books. They'll sit at a table. They won't shake hands. They won't talk to anybody. They'll just sit there. They are not trying to actively promote, actively sell the book. And at the end, it's, well, I didn't sell any books. Well, everybody around you sold 30, 40, 50 books, but you didn't. Well, you have to think about the fact that once again, you are now a business owner and you have to get out there and actively promote the book. Create a great display, which is not as expensive now as it probably used to be. You can go to Vistaprint, you can design some things on your own, but have a really appealing display that's going to make your books pop, make them stand out. I've had people with sci-fi books come in and dress the part as their characters. Yeah. I've had people create dolls, create T-shirts. They do all kinds of unique things, but create an experience at these book fairs. And if you get a chance to get on the stage, what we do at ours, it's called the Black Ink Book Festival. We do reading in the garden, where you can go out and for 25 minutes, you can read your book to a group of people. Take advantage of those opportunities. Don't be afraid, because once again, you cannot write the book and go hide. You've got to go out there, put yourself out there. And, but these book fairs are great, but speaking engagements are great. Events are key because you're building a brand and you want people to see you. And that's a great way to do it with the book fairs.
Anything? Okay. So another thing in regards to, especially if you just have, I'm not going to say just have, but if you have one book, you really have to create an atmosphere. You got to look at your book and what else goes along with that. and making sure that now when I started collecting emails, I had a spiral notebook, I had a yellow sheet notebook, and they just hand wrote their name, email, and phone number. They hand wrote it out. So, therefore, I had something. So before I started books, I used to do that for Musical.ly. So when I started going to books, I already had a list of 900. Sent them an email saying, okay, I'm moving to books. And they were like, we don't care what you move to. We like you. We're staying. So I started an email list with 900 people. But that's number two. Besides having inventory, make sure you got books with you and order them in ahead of time. And if they're shipping them, put 10 in your bag just in case something happens and the books don't come. You got 10 with you, 5 to 10 in your hand at all times. The other thing is the etiquette piece. I'm sorry, but you're not going to be able to just stand there and say, here are my books.
Right.
Now, when I'm at a festival, I am like a polyparrot. By the end of the night, I am forced. I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to see nobody. I make connections. Hi, how are you? Good morning. Hey, love. I mean, that is, Dr. Nettles has been with me enough. She knows that's my thing. Hey, what's going on? Good to see you. Oh my gosh, I love that dress. Oh, I love it. Wow. Yeah. I'm making you stop in any way, shape, or form. Pause. Look. Wait a minute. You're gonna stop by. Wait a minute. This is the second time you've been by here. You didn't stop and look at that books. Whatever that takes. Not buy mine. But how you doing? What do you do? What do you got? Where do you live? What do you do? What do you? I'm wore out by the time it's over. But I know now at book events, it's even more important than those big, large festivals where there's multiplicity of people. Because I like to be next to the purse people because they come in for purses, so they'll be near me to see them. I don't shy away from the clothes people. I don't shy away from the jewelry people. Put me, oh yeah, I'm near them, good. Because I know that drives traffic.
That's gonna
like clothes, especially at church, big church, denominational events. Oh yeah, put me next to the clothes rack lady. Oh yeah, I love it. Be across from them. They gotta pass me to get to the clothes. They gotta pass me to get to the hats. They gotta pass me to get. Oh, I love it. I love it. Hey, how y'all doing? I have no problem with it. So make sure that you're. Come on out, introvert. I know we like to be in the writing cave, but come on out. And by the way, just as a small promo, I'm writing a book. I already told LaShonda about it, and Dr. Nettles knows about it too. But vendors and exhibitors want it, guide for events. So that's give me about a month to do my rewrites, and it'll be on the way out. Because I really want to help people with events and the good and bad. Okay, so Kevin's gonna give us some hints. Hold on. I started by share the cost. And typically the cost in Atlanta, and I remember that's Atlanta, is $200 or more. And then they all go together and they pay $50. And then they share. Now I've done that for years.
We do that.
The same, because sometimes that vendor fee is high. Sometimes it's way more than $100. Sometimes it's $1,000. Sometimes it's $1,500, depending on who the audience is. And let me just give you this hint. Sometimes the vending fee is high to keep the little guy out.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But I'm gonna get my coins because I want to get in front of that audience, and you got to pay to play. He says I add all the events to his Eventbrite, and then drop that to your table. Okay, so you already have a list. But what about the person that Kevin's on another level? He done sold 5,000, so he's on another level. Let's go back to the Honda. Hello.
Okay,
so just starting. Go ahead.
The thing about what Kevin just said about sharing a table, a lot of vendors don't want you to share your table, and it's in the fine print that you can't share a table. And so unless you are a business unto itself with multiple authors, it's sometimes hard now to do the sharing, the sharing.
Yeah, they have that in the thing, and they will either escort you out sometimes, or unless you have a business that has, like mine, I can have multiple. I just had somebody accept me the other day, and they were like, anybody you published, you have permission to have their book on your table. Now, I've been other places, I can only have the books I wrote on the table. I don't care if I published it. I still didn't have permission. You got to read the fine print. LaShonda, go ahead.
I was gonna say that you need to read the fine print because nowadays most of them don't want you. They want just you there. And then with Miss Julia taught me, make sure they're giving you a table and the chairs and all
Oh,
that.
baby.
Oh my God.
Oh my Lord. So I go to a short story. I go to it was a trade show. It wasn't a vending event. This was a trade show. I paid a lot of money. I won't even tell you how much. So I had paid so much money. I thought, oh, okay. It was my big ticket item of the year in front of all these educators, right? And they gonna charge you, right? So I get to the booth. Nothing is there. I'm the Honda Rising, Miss Peggy, but nothing was in there but the curtains around it. When I say nothing, I mean nothing. There was no trash can. There was no table. There was no chairs. Yeah. Well, okay. So that's where Kevin gets it. He does Anointed Care Productions and it works. Okay. But if you're not, and nobody doesn't have a business to go under. Yeah. But other ones have said it. When I got there, okay, there was nothing. So I go back to exhibitor services. That's where you go in them big trade shows. I go to the back and I said, hi, I'm in booth 1100. I had a corner and everything. It was beautiful. Okay. I paid. Ooh. And they said, no, ma'am, nothing. You didn't read the exhibitor prospectus? No, ma'am. Not at the price point I pay. No, nothing comes with it. And by the way, you need a carpet. Carpet? What? Carpet. It was $400 for the table. It was like $75 each for the chairs. If I wanted a trash can, that was $60. And if I wanted a carpet, that might have been $200. And it was $1,500 for electricity. Brian was like, are you kidding me? I said, go to Lowe's and have somebody cut a 10 by 10 carpet. So I'm sitting there, had to be set up by 2, and it was about 12:30. Oh gosh, it was awful. So read the perspectives. Okay. Anything, Michelle? Anything you want to add?
Wow.
I just 100% agree. I think, but on the other side of things, being someone who put on these events, and I've done hundreds of events as part of what I do at my company, including trade shows. A trade show is a different animal, though, because people come in and they have those very elaborate,
Yes, I was intimidated. I was a little woman on the totem pole. I was like, I just
that's a good place to be in. It's a good place to be. But I agree. Be sure to read the fine print, because on the other side of things is that, and I was just saying this to someone, I use this beautiful venue here. It's in the Botanical Gardens, but just the tables and the chairs run me $2,000-$3,000. So when you're talking about having to bring all that stuff in, it is so expensive. And when we're trying to keep the cost of the table, the rental down for the authors, it doesn't, you're not going to make any money that way. So yeah, we control it also by, we have a very small space, and then you have 2 chairs. So you can't bring in all your boys, you can't bring in all your kids. And that kind of helps us to control the space. But we're going to be moving it to the convention center next year. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, it's growing. But I agree. Definitely pay attention to what you're getting, because a lot of people won't give you anything. And for me, I'm big on, you have to have a tablecloth. So you can't come in here and just put your books on a dry table. I need to look like something. So those types of things are important too.
And then some people require. I was in Atlanta. I know Kevin knows that in Atlanta, they said the tablecloth got to be black. They told you what color. You couldn't be, you might have something else decorative over top, but you got to make sure you got a tablecloth, and they told you it had to be black, and it had to go all the way to the floor. And I've had a whole lot of experience. We talk all night, but they come by, you moved out too far, scoot your table back. When people try to get extra space into the aisleway and block the aisleway, fire marshal, move it back, and they come in their little scooters and they move you back, and then and then oops, your box is and the tent has to be white. I mean, it just all depends. You can't come on. Now, the outside festivals, I think they're a little more lenient, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes they want a whole decor, and it's got whole. And then sometimes don't let your a box slide out. Oh no, I've had them come by, kick it, slide out. Excuse me, there's a box we can see it coming out from under your table. So yeah, the events thing. Now, the one thing that I will have to say about book events is that you really have to be on guard, because if you don't sell here, if somebody doesn't buy your book, they'll go on to the next table. It's different with the jewelry and the clothes and all that. You know, sometimes I may be the only book person in the whole thing. And so it's wonderful. If you really want books and you're into books, come on through. But if you're at a book event, you really have to be on your A game. You have to be enthusiastic. You know, you really have to be to bring it. Okay. So be prepared for that. It's wonderful when you sell out. It's great when people know that you're there and they come and see you. And it really, that promotions thing needs to be two ways. The host needs to be promoting and communicating and answering your questions, but you need to be promoting as well.
Mhm.
And if we can't see anything related to your promotion where you're saying I'm going to be there and you're going to be at this situation, and don't let it be a large trade show that actually gives you a booth number ahead of time. You're able to select
Right.
some events. You're able to select your booth number and where you want to be. And they usually, on that level, they usually do it 2 or 3 months. So you had 2 or 3 months to tell what booth.
Yeah.
Dr. Nettles and I, we were at Mega. We were at booth 38 and 39.
39.
38 and 39. They knew that 2 or 3 months ahead. As soon as they sent it out, you're at 38, 39. That means you're supposed to tell everybody I'm going to be at booth 38, 39. I was there last year. I'm pretty much in the same spot I was.
I would say that the promotion part is good, because if you have an email list, this is your chance to meet your readership. So you tell them to come down there. Tell them you're gonna get them a gift for coming to visit you. Do those lives. Go live at the thing. But make sure you can, because some places don't want you to go live. You know, go live and tell people, hey,
wow.
maybe you don't know.
Okay, so wait a minute, go back. They don't want you to go live. What event is that?
Some places don't want you to go live. That's part of their thing, because they might have some little stuff that they're doing, and so you got to make sure that you have permission to go live, because you're shooting other people too. Some people
That's it. You should.
Okay.
You have to make sure you're doing that. You know, but you want people to come. You want to make sure you're telling people. I know people come to St. Louis and they don't say nothing about it, and then they tell me after they left, "Oh yeah, LaShawn, I was in your city." Seriously?
I know.
You know, and I'm like,
you know, I don't think about coming to St. Louis unless I say, I'm coming. You want to go eat some fish? You know,
right,
whatever. Let's break some bread. Okay. So, question: what if you don't have an email list? Okay, this is the question. So, one of the first things is, what did we say before? Be active on social media. That's where you start. But you always are striving to get people off of social media and onto your own list. I don't know about everybody else, but that's how my business survived in 2020, was my list. I was active on social media too, but my email list was really key. Okay, so starting an email list, I don't care if you start with 5 people. I don't care if your book signing, when you have your first book launch. Now, this would be a longer conversation, but if you have a book launch, always have everyone, if you're getting ready to launch a book, when you have a book signing, have everybody sign in who walks in. I don't care if it's your mama. Put them on the list, the name and email and phone number on the list. That's how you start an email list. And I don't care if that same email list is 10 people for a year. You have started it. It does not matter how many numbers. It matters where you start and that you start. Every time you go to a book event or community event, farmers market, wherever it is, and you set up your booth there, if you have anybody who stops by, oh, I really like it, but I don't have money today to come on, sign up my list and let's stay in communication. Even if you're not able to send out a monthly newsletter, send out something quarterly that says happy summer. That's all. You don't even have to say buy my book, but just say happy summer. Hope you're having a great time. Yeah. Enjoy the pool and enjoy your vacation and time off with family. Fall, do something else. Christmas, something else. Happy New Year, Mother's Day, Black History Month, whatever that looks like. And you just send basic converse. Honey, when I first started, I had a list where I could highlight it on Word and put it in a Gmail. That's how few I had on the list. I didn't need an email list server or anything. I didn't need none of that. I could just highlight, pop them in, and send them a regular email from Gmail. So if you don't have a list, start today. Whatever that looks like, start today. Okay. Any other questions, y'all? Does that make sense? That's how I started. I just did what I did. Okay. Another
So
thing, go ahead.
when you said something earlier that reminded me of how I started. I knew that you needed to have a following before you launched your book, but you have to maximize the following or maximize the people that you know. She said she didn't have an email list. Yes, she does. She has a mama and a dad and a brother and a sister. That's an email list. And I need everybody to send that email. Give me one other person's email. And everybody has two friends.
Yeah.
So you have an email list. But once you get that email list, you have to, like Michelle said, transition to your business mind, because I had a following with my prayer website, but I was always kind of like, I don't want to merge my prayers with my business. And Julia just shakes her head at me every time I say it, because they buy books too, she said.
And they know other people who buy books. Like, really, dude?
Right. So, you have people that you talk to all the time. They're on your email list. And then you have to transition that mindset to, this is a business. And people have two options. They can subscribe or unsubscribe.
Yep. That's
And
it.
this is helping me also remind myself they can subscribe or they can unsubscribe, but they don't have the opportunity to do either of those things if you don't tell them.
Yeah.
Inviting them. You invite them. So you already have a group of people. So you send them a message and you say, guess what? I got a new book that's coming out. I would love for you to check it out. If you're interested in hearing more, I don't want to bombard this list. Sign up for my list. And then that's how you get them to the new list. And that way the prayer people stay the prayer people and your readers stay the readers thing. Yeah. Don't put them all on the same list, because you will get unsubscribed, because they don't want to hear about that book. They on a prayer. Right.
Right. Yeah. They want to pray and go on with their day. Yeah.
You segmentize your list. A lot of people miss the segmentize. They think, oh, I got 900 people. I had 5,000 people on my list. I wrote a science fiction book. My list is for promotion. So I said, hey, I'm starting this science fiction book. You guys want to hear about the science fiction book? Sign up here. And they moved there. And they moved there. 5,000 people? No, they did not move over there. It would have been nice. But the little people who moved over, I was happy, because that showed me, okay, these people are interested in what I got.
Yeah, right.
And then you start and you go that way. So every time you go, you ask. Don't put nobody on your list unless they say yes to you. Because
now that's number one. Yeah. Yep.
When they come to your desk, when they come to buy a book at the place, make sure you say, would you like to subscribe? You get that push from them, because that's what the server's gonna ask you. They say yes, and somebody's saying they spamming me, you get your stuff shut down. So
you don't want that. I'm sorry, Michelle, what was you gonna say?
No, I mean, I 100% agree. I think that I do a lot of email marketing for my clients, and so I love the idea, always invite. And so if you have a database, as everyone has said, that first email can go to everyone, and it could just be an invitation to get other emails. And if they sign on, fine. And if they don't, understandably. If they don't want to receive it, they can always opt out. But I do agree. Always ask, always have a list with you when you're at a book fair or an event, have people to sign up. And don't hesitate, because some people, there's still people who don't even know I write books, because I'm not always inviting them to be a part of things. So be sure, to invite people. One person you can have one person who literally can love your book so much they can open you up to a whole other fan base.
Yes.
And I've had that to happen with my first book. It was a soldier. My husband's in the military. She just loved my book. She bought several copies for her friends, and then she took it to her church. She sold it there. Mm-hmm. And I was just so blown away with how she just, grab hold to it. But that's what a true fan will do. So you never know. It could be that little person that you never thought would read and be the one to just invite you out to book clubs and different things. When I first wrote my first book, I reached out to Curtis Bond and I asked him, how do I get my book out there? And he said, book clubs. So please, we've got to talk about book clubs because that
Yeah.
is such an amazing way to get the word out about your book. Now, the first one I went to, I was nervous. It was like 10 women who had sticky notes on every page of my book. I knew they were going to tear into me and nobody was smiling. So I remember sitting in that room.
They loved it though. I know they loved it.
My heart was like this because I was just ready for that first one to go, who wrote this? You know, this is crazy. But that was such an eye opener because one lady opened up and she just talked to me about every character. And I remember just welling up to cry. Those book clubs are powerful and they
Yes, they
will
are.
sustain you and they will get you across
Yes,
that
sir.
hump if you're having
Yes,
a
sir.
struggle with selling your books.
Okay, so that's key. We talked about memoir people, but fiction is first off, if you ever get a book club to try it. Now, for me, I'm different because I love writing fiction, but I don't usually have a lot of time for it. So for me, which is different than other people, I'm not saying you have to do it. But if it's a book club, the first one, the person who's selecting the book for that month or that year or the president, she always gets a free one. For me, that's the way I do it. If I want it, because fiction people are loyal, baby. They are. Once they fall in love with it, it don't matter what I write. My girls in South Carolina, baby, they were like, what you got? What you got next? And if it's a series, they want not only one, but they want the whole series. They want all the pieces and all the parts that go with it. So even though you may have 10 in a book club, that could be, if it's a series, 30 or 40 or 50 books or more, especially if they recommend it to another book club or some more friends. So the first one I usually give. And then I reward you. You know, when they did the first thing, I can't believe, I knew I had them then. I can't believe you that twist at the end. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Yes, book club for fiction, that's where you need to be. And you need to prepare yourself, your budget for the first, I don't know, 20 to 30, 40, 50 books to give so that it can multiply and go to the next level. Now, I want to come back to Michelle because Vanessa and I talk about it all the time. You know, sometimes we can teach people how, but what do you do when people want it done for you? They want you to do it. And I know Michelle does it. I know LaShonda does it too. When they switch from, I don't want to do it, I want to pay you. Now we moving into the Cadillac Rolls Royce. We done been in Honda level, but now we moving into the Cadillac Rolls Royce level, where people are wanting you to do it for them. There is the teach me how people, and there is the then I want you to do it for me. So what are two between you? Well, I'll jump in when I can because this is next level, and I've had a few clients of that on that level too as well. But what happens when you move to I don't want to? I got the money to pay you to do it. I can pay that, and I can do that. So where does your mindset go from 2010, Michelle, to now, to that level?
I'm always, because I own a PR firm and I work with clients all the time, I am always hesitant to take on clients. I'm being honest with you. I think for me, running the Black Writers Workspace and approving everybody coming on the page, off the page, I often get people to ask me to do things. But to be honest, they rarely want to pay the money that it takes to get it done. And that becomes a challenge. So I have to do a lot of vetting with an author to make sure that they are ready, to move things forward and that they understand that everything comes with a cost. Because if you do it yourself, it may be 100, but if I got to do it for you, it may be 200 because you got to pay me too. So it becomes really, it becomes very tricky, but you have to evaluate whether or not a person is ready. But I would tell you, if a writer isn't willing to invest in their editing, I'm not going to work with them on no level. I think you need to invest in your editing. I will work with them on positioning the book, on branding the books, on book cover design. We have graphic artists. But once again, these things become, are you settled? Are you sure? Are you ready? Are you ready to brand this book? Are you ready to be representative of this book? Are you ready to speak? because some people, once again, they want to write the book and then they don't want to go hide, and then you can't sell it. So, I like to teach on a lot of these things versus doing it all. Even if I'm going to do it for them, I still want to teach them how to do it, because these things are ongoing. And that becomes a challenge too when you sell marketing services, is that you say, hey, I'm going to help you sell the first 100 copies. Okay, they sell the first 100 and then they want to come back for more. Well, that's a long-term investment. Do you want to make that kind of long-term investment? I'd rather help you with that first 100 and show you how to sell the rest, so that you can go out there and do it, and I'm not, in your pocket the whole time. But it is difficult when you're working with authors, because a lot of authors do not want to pay. And there are a lot of schemy services out there that I've seen authors pay for. Now, it's funny. You could be doing something legit and wanting to help. They don't want to pay for it.
No.
Then they will connect with someone. I was on a call once with a gentleman who, and I won't say his name or anything other than, he was out talking to me about marketing, helping him. He was bringing on these authors and publishing their books for them. $10,000 he was charging them to publish their books. And I remember saying to him, and he wasn't doing any marketing, this is just getting the book up on Amazon, you know what I'm saying? This is it. And so he said, I asked him, I said, who's paying this? And he said, housewives, because they don't have anything else to do with their money. And it was such an insult, and I did tell him that, so I just want y'all to know. But it was just one of those things where there are people out here who are taking advantage of writers and charging enormous amounts of money. And there are some writers who are willing to pay because they think it's the only way to do it. Yeah. And then there are those of like me, you go to direct to author, you can get all types of services for just, $59. I can post online, this, that, and other. And people will complain, oh, I don't want to pay that. So it is really, really difficult. You have to be, for me to work with you, you have to be committed to the work and ready to move forward.
Yeah. LaShonda, I'll bring up the rear. Go ahead.
So I like to teach, but most of the time people come to me I say I'm part of your team. So I'm helping you with promoting your stuff. So I can do individual promotion. I do email marketing, social media marketing, where I send out to my community that I've built. It goes to my community. So most of the people is fiction. We do some nonfiction, but most of the stuff that I send out is for fiction stuff. And then I like to work with people who have a budget. So we create a plan. So I think that you should at least promote for 3 months. Get your stuff out there. I try to send something out every week for 3 months. That's what I try. I work with, and I tell them, let's do a plan versus let me buy one promotion and it goes out 1 week, and then you're like, oh, well, I sell 100 books, but they only seen it one time.
And they might not have seen it then.
Yeah, and so
all depends on how often they check email.
It's reputation. You gotta keep getting in front of it. So one of the things I do is my promotions, you get 4 promotions, and whatever promotion I do for you, you get 1 a week. I'm doing something 1 a week. And if we can do it for 3 months, that's getting in front of people more. And I think most authors miss that because they're thinking, oh, I spent $250. I'm gonna make $250 back. That's not how it works. What I teach is that my promotion is introducing you to my audience. So I always say, get me on your team, and then get another person on your team. Then you got 3, you're promoting, they're promoting, I'm promoting. We're getting in front of a bunch of people. When you're just doing it by yourself, after a while, you exhaust your audience. And so promotion is about reaching other audiences. So I got an audience of African-American romance readers. She might have an audience of poetry people, or she might have an audience of something else. You want to get in front of your audience. So many people, they'll go and buy that the BookBub promotion, and then they'll come back to me and they go, I spent $500 and I didn't get nothing. So they don't want to spend $50 with me because they didn't spend $500, and I'm like, did they have your audience? Well, they got 5,000 people. Just because somebody has 5,000 people, that doesn't mean that's your audience.
Right.
So you got to do your research when you're working with people, because yes, you can get burnt because you got in your head, this man, he got me, he went all off on social media, was hollering, fussing, cussing at me because he bought this blog promotion, and I didn't send it to the 20 blogs that he had in his head, because I only gonna put it on my blog. It ain't going nowhere else. So he didn't do his research. First of all, you don't know what services you're buying, because you're thinking I'm sending it to 20 blogs. Then you want to blast me out on social media saying that I took your money. Dude, you paid $25 for a blog ad. Really? You gonna tell everybody named Mama that LaShonda Hoffman, the Sormag promotion, gypped you for your money? And people had to come and tell him, dude, she don't send to other people's blogs. It's just her stuff. And he was like, oh, but I gave him his money back, because I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you your money back, because I want you to feel like you got good service for me, but don't come back. You know, don't come back. You have to know what you're paying for. So don't understand what they're paying for, and then make sure that they give you the service that you paid for. I have people come back to me 3 months later. Did you send that ad out? Yeah, luckily for me, I have links, so I can send you the link. But I have people that will say that they bought stuff from somebody and they didn't know if they sent it out, and now I'm too embarrassed to ask them. And I'm like, you just
paid real money.
Spent money.
Yeah.
So make sure you're getting what you paid for. You know, and
it's a lot. And Renette, you want to ask?
And look for it. With my first publisher, they said that they posted advertisement about my book. So I looked for it and looked for it and looked for it. It was in a science magazine. And so I had to sit back. First of all, lesson learned. Second of all, it was a devotional. Why was it in the science and the technology book, advertisement area? But I felt like, okay, so this makes no sense. But it was a lesson learned. I needed to be able to ask, where is it going? And who is, how do I see my own advertisement? How do I see my own press release? Because they sent me a copy of the press release, but I never saw it in the Montgomery, Alabama press. So it went somewhere. But those are the kinds of questions that once you know, you ask them.
Right.
You
have to know.
And if you don't know, then ask your friends, because somebody knows. I had a client. We usually talk about stuff before she went to go pay somewhere, and she paid for a public relations person, and she paid this lady big money, and the lady only promoted online. So she thought she was going to get her in magazines, on the TV shows, and different stuff. This lady had her own podcast, and she had a website, and that was it. Again, do your research, and that's where she was putting it. But she was paying her like she was paying a big time publicist, and that's all she had. And I said, and she's like, well, she's not like you. I said, I don't call myself a publicist, because publicists work outside of things.
Yeah.
If you're paying for a publicist, she needs to be offline. She shouldn't be online only. And so the lady told her, this is what I do. This is what I told you I did. I said, all you heard was publicists.
Yeah.
And you didn't ask questions. So ask questions. Always ask questions. If they don't want to answer you, don't give them your money.
Right. Michelle, define what publicist is.
Yeah, it's so funny. I'm glad you brought this up, because as a PR owner and a PR firm, people always think that I am a publicist, and I am not. A publicist is someone who's going to be boots on the ground. They're out there trying to get you on the radio, the TV, and I mean, they're very active in that space. They're sending those media kits and press releases, and they're trying to connect what your message is to something that's relevant in a particular community, so that they can get you, optimize the amount of time they can get you on air. As a PR person, PR people can do a lot of that with a good press release, but a lot of it has to be, once again, connected to something relevant. So if you wrote a book on health and wellness, and we know that, like here in New Orleans, we've got Cancer Alley. If I can connect that to something that's happening in the news, your book to what's happening relevant in the community, it's a lot easier for me to get you on TV. But a publicist, they're expensive. You're talking about people who may charge you $500-$600 a month just to be out there
Mhm.
trying to get you, on these different networks, and they have these high level connections. And so I get people call me all the time. They're like, I'm looking for a publicist. I'm like, I don't do that work because I don't have the bandwidth, to really get you in front of the CNNs and the MSNBCs and Fox News and all those places. And so a lot of times I think people are really PR people, public relations people, not publicists, but they're positioning themselves as publicists and they're getting this money, and folks are not happy because they're not, getting in the magazines and all those. And I want to say this, a lot of that stuff you can do yourself.
Right.
Okay, a lot of it you can do yourself. We have to stop being worried about that. You can Google how to write a press release, and you can write a fantastic press release. And everybody, if you know of one anchor, send it to them, tag them on it. Every one of the newspapers and radio stations in your area have a news at email address. That's where they bring in their press releases. Or you could put it on the wire. And putting it on the wire could cost you $200 or $300. It'll go out to 2,000-3,000 journalists. There are so many ways to do this yourself. And as writers, I always tell people this: if you are a writer, you can do your own PR work because you wrote the book and you know how to write. So find a template, write a press release. The press release, just remember this, it's just an announcement of something. So it's not an article. You're just announcing that, Dr. Nettles just released her third book about X. And then you're going to write it. You can add quotes in it, but it doesn't have to be. It's just an announcement. And if the newspaper or the TV station thinks if it's interesting, they'll pick it up. They'll call you, hey, be here in the morning. This goes back to being ready.
Right.
A lot of times I'll get calls from the TV station. Michelle, we want to interview you in the morning at 8 o'clock. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? I need to get my hair done. But nonetheless, you got to jump on.
Get a wig, girl. Get a wig. Get a wig, girl.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, I'm glad you guys brought up the publicist thing, because a lot of, for those out there, don't mix up a publicist and PR work. You paying a PR person who's just going to write a press release and send it to the local newspaper, something you could have done yourself with a publicist. A publicist is going to be out there working their tail off to get you some high level coverage. And that coverage should be very valuable. Hopefully you'll get out of it what you put into it, but you're going to spend some money with a publicist. And
don't be getting anything on that level if your internet infrastructure headquarters is not together. Stay home. Don't keep going to the farmer's market or whatever until you get don't get that same. This is just my soap opera, but I want this, but baby, you haven't even got your infrastructure together first. Work on that so that when you do speak to, you're used to speaking to a couple hundred or, 50, 75, 100 people at this event. When you're going on media, large media, if they do attract that kind of attention, you could be talking to millions. And then from there, that's just that 5, 15, 20 seconds of fame on when they're interviewing you live. But then they take that same little clip and they usually are putting it on their website. So therefore, it can be running for a while. A whole lot of other people. I saw you. Girl, I think I saw you. I saw you. I saw you. So those videos are running. So if people can't get in contact with you, make sure you have a phone number that you actually either answer, you listen to the voicemails, you check your email. I know, and I have authors who fuss like, well, you hadn't had me on. Boo-boo. I have opportunities that I need to know in the next 20 minutes. Are you available? And if you're not, I may have to jump on there. Hey, and talk about your book, because you have to, you have to be ready, as Michelle says. And yes, Vanessa says you do need good internet. That's the reason why I like to do these interviews at home, because I'm hardwired. I can't rely on Wi-Fi at that hotel wherever I'm staying, because I don't know what they're going to do and how is it going to work. So I'm sorry, Michelle, what was you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say one thing, which is if you're unsure if a press release went out, just put the title in your Google search. It should come up. If it doesn't come up, it didn't go out, because when if someone picked it up, it's going to, when the newspaper picks up something, it's going to immediately hit Google. It may not be at the top, but double check that. And that's another thing. Learn about those distribution organizations or PR distribution services. They are valuable and they can get your stuff out very quickly for just a few $100s. And I use them all the time. But just it's so many resources out there for you.
Michelle,
Okay.
you're absolutely right. You may not end up at the top, but you keep looking. I found my article, 3 searches past. Keep looking.
The other thing is, so one thing that I will say is that, and then I've told authors for this, whether it's your initial book signing or your launch, have a cheat sheet. I'm not cursing. Have a cheat sheet. Have a piece of paper, even if you know it. Have your 3 points that you want to make sure you get, because sometimes you only get 10, 15 seconds. And then have the link where you want them to go. When you have the landing page, when you have the website, have it down. This is where I want you to go. So if you want to publish with me, go to talkwithroyston.com. And while I'm on that subject, the links to where to make connections with my guest tonight, they have put them in the comments. So the young lady wanted to work with LaShonda Hoffman. If you scroll up, she's given all her information. So has Michelle and Dr. Nettles. I've posted it, but she'll put it in her comments too. And I'll put my information in there too as well. So you should be able to reach out to them, schedule a conversation, go to their websites and download their free links and whatever to get on their email list. If they have a free download or availability, be sure and do that. Follow them on social media because they're giving tips. Michelle, as always, the Pen Posse is coming up. Give me the date. The next one, because I saw the
link.
link.
Is this Saturday, actually. We're going to have a Pen Posse. We're talking about what I wish I would have known before I published my book. And 2 hours, just like today. And we just spend 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. talking. We have 8 authors. And so please join us. I have all the links on my author Michelle D. Jackson page on Facebook, and it'll also be on YouTube. So
Perfect. I want you to be sure, and then a tea conversation with LaShonda. Go ahead and schedule that. Go to Dr. Nettles. She is going to be telling you where she's going to be, and then you can always email her. If you need a prayer every day, go to vcnpray.com. Correct? Is that the right one?
Daily Pray.
Daily Pray.
I'll put it in the comments.
Okay,
now.
put it in the comments so that you can get. So this is one of the things that I find we're trying to not create. There are certain people that you're going to work with, but I don't want you to be a lazy author. I don't want you to come to any of them. Thank you for being with us tonight, but I don't want you to go to any of these people and have a conversation and you don't have any questions to ask them. You haven't done any homework at all. You don't even really know. I don't know what I need. Well, sweetie, be sure and at least tell what you've done, where you've been, what kind of book it is. Be able to give them the basic details of what you already have. If it's on Amazon and you need them to review it, they'll let you know what the fee is and all of that. But also be ready with your information, with your accomplishments so far. I don't care if it's your first book. I don't care if it's an idea in your head. Be sure and come with what is on your heart and what's going on. Michelle has talked. I was on the Pen Posse with her, and she said the market has been. What did she say? I saw somebody say it was insane, but the market has been what?
Oversaturated.
So that means there are millions. What did they say? 5,000 books are published on Amazon every day.
There's a million. I know during COVID that last year, there were 1 million books being self-published every year. And then Amazon has 30 million books is what I read. And so what I tell people all the time is that you compete with the Holy Bible when you put your book on Amazon. And I do. And everyone, I don't think it's a bad thing. But if you're not telling people to go there, they're not going to just automatically find you. It's just too much traffic.
Yeah.
Too much.
And they've got to have a reason. So this is something else that I do. I yell at social media when I see it. One, I know it's not right. They did something with the algorithm where you can't actually post the link in the post. You got to put links like in the comments, right, LaShonda? Yeah, I see you nodding your head. Okay. But at least tell me 1 or 2 reasons, either why you wrote it or what the book is about. Don't just say buy my book. And even if you put the link in there, why do we need it? So if Michelle says there's 30 million on Amazon, or just knowing that there are 30 million books out there, that's a saturated market. So why do we need yours? What are you going to add to my life that's going to help it, be better, live better, and be more informed, educated, or even entertained? What is the benefit? Make sure you know that should be on your cheat sheet, your note cards, whatever, that you say that this is the reason why I wrote it. Not only my why, but why is it important for you? So this book promotion piece is really important. It's a part of all what I do and I seek to do. I don't like to just come live without some friends, some other points of view. I have a lot of experience, but I love learning from other people too as well. I hope this has been helpful and beneficial to you. Before we go, I want again for everybody to go around and tell where they can either find your website. It's in the comments, but also tell me anything new you have coming up, a class, a book, so that we've heard from Michelle. Be ready for Pen Posse. That's going to be 8 authors, a whole lot of information there too as well, to help you so that you can make some educated decisions, so you can make some informed decisions. Everything is not going to be for everybody, but if you take one thing, 2 things from tonight, 3 things from tonight, and then Pen Posse, and then the shop, you can be a force to be reckoned with your book. LaShonda, what's coming up next for you?
I started a newsletter called Building Your Readership. I put the subscription thing in there, and I post twice a month. So it's every other Wednesday, to help you with learning how to build your readership. And if you subscribe, then you can get back to episode 1. So we're on 19 now. And so you can get back if you subscribe to it. But if not, then you just go to my website, LaShondaHoffman.com. It's on my website, so you can read it there. But if you subscribe, it comes to your email list. I am currently working, I said, my first science fiction book is called Love in Space. It's on the Kindle platform, which is an episodic platform. So you read as you go. And so I invite you to come check that out. The first 10 episodes are free, so you can check it out, see if it's something you're interested in. If not, then you move on to the next thing. But you can't look at it if I don't say nothing about it. So I'm
right. That's right. That's right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have one last tip is that people cannot buy your books unless you tell them. They can't. Amazon is not going to sell your book. If you put it up there, they're not going to sell it. You got to tell people that it's there. So tell them, and don't give them so many steps to go through. Get them that link. Let them go find
it. Lord. Yeah. 2 clicks. That should be it. Just 2 clicks. 2 clicks. Direct click. Let's do it. Dr. Nettles, what's next?
What's next for me are 2 children's books that are in production, and they are about grief. Dear God, is my mommy with you? Dear God, is my daddy with you? That's become real important as we find that we have more and more children who are losing parents or losing family members on a daily basis. Still planning for the March Book Fest in Montgomery. We're planning for that. It should be in the middle of March. And I will be in Birmingham this Saturday at the Homeschoolers Summit, Black Homeschoolers Summit in Birmingham this weekend. That's what's next for me.
All right. What's next for me? I am headed to Baltimore, Maryland. I'll be at the Baltimore Convention Center at the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World Convention. And so I'll be there all week from, that's where I'll be in Baltimore, Maryland. I have my events book that I'm currently in rewrites about. I've received the Dr. Nettles know they're 4th in a series. So I have a biracial series, and I started out with an African-American man with a Caucasian woman and a Caucasian man with an African-American woman. Okay. But I made the mistake of not putting 2 kids on each book, a boy and a girl. Well, what ended up, okay, that's my mistake of the year. So I got to an event in Indianapolis. I was at Indiana Black Expo, and a Caucasian man comes up with an African American woman because I'm striving to have books for representation. So biracial babies don't necessarily come. Some do, but they don't come with two Afro puffs or braids or whatever. They got different kind of hair and different. So this couple had a girl instead of a boy, and they were like, well, if it had a girl on, I said, okay, never again, I'm not doing it. So I just got the new Caucasian man with an African American woman, and yeah, I know. The live and learn. Don't tell me that was 101. And then also I have a new devotional, Abundance of the Heart, coming out as well. That'll be out in the next couple months. But you know, I'm always writing and fiction, and I don't know. It's the bug bit me hard when it did, and so I thank everyone for being on tonight, for making the investment of time. It has been tremendous. All the question. Thank you, Mr. Kevin Edwards, for sharing your tips and all of the help that's out there. I appreciate all of my guests. Oh my gosh, wealth of information. We can go for another hour, I am quite sure, because they just are very, very knowledgeable. And a lot of, let me just say this last thing. I'm going to say this last thing before we go, is that I don't want you to overwhelm you and, oh my God, so many things I got to do. Pick one and start there with one. And then secondly, you realize that the people on this call tonight collectively is probably 60 or 70 years collectively of trial and error and mistakes, and ooh, that went well, and yay, that was great, and ooh, that was a disaster. So therefore, you are getting a lot of information. You should be in a room with people who are knowledgeable so that you can say, no, I don't want that. Oh yeah, that's what Michelle said I should have. Oh, Dr. Nettles said I should do that. And Miss LaShonda, I think I need a T to get a book promotion plan. I've never had one of those, and I don't even know what that looks like. So therefore, figure out where you are in this journey and process. Maybe you do need the website. Maybe you're ready for that. Maybe you're ready to start having events and you need a checklist. Maybe. But that's always, a place to start. And so everybody may be in different places, but start with that one thing. I'm Dr. Joya Royston. This has been incredible. Thank you so much, ladies, for being with me this evening. LaShonda Hoffman, Michelle Jackson, Dr. Vernette Nettles. I'm Joya Royston of BK Royston Publishing, Royal Media and Publishing, and the Book Business Boss Consulting, helping you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth, and be a book business boss. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.